different colors, all different ages, all different fingers. Yeah, I see your finger. It's amazing they're coming from BAMN Muslims. Yeah, I know you wish that on me. That's okay. See, I can live with that. I can live how you feel about me. That is your right to feel however you want. See, because right now what we do, here in America, we've heard those words. Bigot. I think I've heard the word bigot many, many times already today. Racist. Oh, that's a good one, right? Racist. That is one of those words we like to throw out there, racist. If we want to label somebody, if we want to portray them as a way to try to get people to no longer listen or qualify their message, the first word we put out there is racist. You have no idea what racist even means. I look at these young people and I weep for the future. I weep because you don't even know what most of the words mean that you're crying out. Bigot, racist, hater. You like that one. Hater, hate speech, hate preacher, hate, hate, hate. It's a favorite. The media likes it. They like that word bigot. They like the word racist. They like that word hate. Hate speech. Hate crime. Hate crime. There we go. Let's talk about hate crime. Is what we are doing is speaking out against Islam. Is that a hate crime? What do you say, Bam? Is that a hate crime? You don't know nothing. You bunch of young, hyped up, overexcited young people don't know nothing. Hate crime. What is a hate crime? People have told us that this is hate speech. What we are doing can be compared, speaking out against Islam, is likened to being a hate crime. Burning the Quran. Was that a hate crime? Well, was that a passion? Well, was that a hate-filled action? Burning the Quran. Yeah, was it? See, what else? What else? Has freedom of speech? Is us standing here, speaking out our opinion, our hope, our belief, is this become a hate crime? Has the First Amendment become a hate crime here in America? When you read the newspaper, or you watch Fox, or ABC, or NBC, you listen to some of these articles, yeah, freedom of speech has become a hate crime. Truth of the matter is, you don't even know what a hate crime is. We throw these words around so loosely when we don't even know what it is we're saying. You're saying things today, in a year, 2 years, 5 years, you are going to regret standing here acting the way you do. Or at least I hope you come to your senses in that amount of time. What is a hate crime? Well, it is a hate crime. The definition of a hate crime, it is a legal category used to describe biased, motivated violence. Let me say that again. A hate crime. It is a legal category that describes biased, motivated violence, assault, injury, or murder on the basis of certain personal characteristics, such as different appearance, If you carry out an act of violence because somebody looks different, that's a hate crime. If you carry out an act of violence because somebody is black or white, yellow, green, or purple, that's a hate crime. You carry out because of a different color, a bit different nationality. If you attack somebody because they are from a different country, they were born somewhere different than you, and you attack them for that reason. You speak out in such a way that you are hoping violence befalls a certain group of people because of their color, because of their appearance, because of their nationality. That is a hate crime. What you people are promoting, that is a hate crime. Not only are you here speaking it out, you are putting out flyers throughout the university, asking people to intimidate, to bring about a fear that the people will not even stand up for their rights. What you people are doing is a hate crime. A hate crime is also an act of violence against a different religion. So if I were to somehow carry out an act of violence, if I attack a person or a place of worship, that because they believe differently than I do, that is a hate crime. So we're going to come back to the original question. Is speaking out against Islam, is that a hate crime? No. Speaking out against Islam is not a hate crime. How about speaking out against the Quran, against the teachings in the Quran, against this surah, that surah, bringing it out into the light? Is that a hate crime? Burning the Quran, set this thing on fire right here, is that a hate crime? No. No, that is my freedom of expression. I can get a lighter right now, set that thing on fire. It's not a hate crime. It is not an act of violence against anybody. It is not an act of violence because you believe differently. It is not an act of violence because you look different. It is not an act of violence at all. It is an act of expression, not violence. So speaking out against Islam, speaking out against the Quran, expressing my belief, my opinion, my point of view, that's not a hate crime. How about speaking out against Sharia, Islamic law, to be ruled and governed by the teachings, by the laws of Islam? How about if I speak out against that? Is that a hate crime? Is that a hate crime? No, thank you. No, thank you. I'm taken. Thank you. It's not a hate crime. It is actually trying to speak out of protection and awareness here in America. Because, see, America thinks that this is not taking place. America has become the frog in the kettle, swimming around as it starts to get hotter and hotter, and they do not even realize it. Just swimming around, until one day you're no longer the frog, you're somebody's dinner. Speaking out against Islam, speaking out against the Quran, burning the Quran, it's not a hate crime. Calling for the banning of Sharia in America is not a hate crime. Actually, there should not be one person in America that would not call for the same thing. There should not be one Christian, one Muslim, one Buddhist, one atheist that would not believe and vote for the same thing. Ban Sharia in America. Why? Because it goes against the Constitution of the United States because it speaks a different set of laws than what is written, what is promised, what is guaranteed in the Constitution of the United States. So there shouldn't be, even if you're able to vote, which most of you people look like you're never going to be able to vote. Even if you're able to vote, this should be something that every person should agree upon. Every imam should agree upon. When it comes to the law of the city, the law of the state, the law of the federal government, to call to agree upon the banning of Sharia in America. Is that a hate crime to call for that? No. That's right, it's not. It's not. See, the guy in the blue shirt, he's been right on a lot of things I've said because he's agreed. Except for the burning of the Quran. The burning of the Quran, you said, is a hate crime, right? Right. See, some of them have a little bit of brains. They understand there's some things you can say in public, and there's some things they will never say in public. But the bottom line is, everything I've said, there's nothing that's a hate crime. That's just what? That's just American. That is what is guaranteed to me as an American here in America. My First Amendment. That Congress shall make no law. That means Sharia shall make no law. That means BAMN shall make no law. There shall not be a form of intimidation. There shall not be anything that shall push me back or prohibit me from standing here or walking down the street and saying what I trust and what I believe in. And that is what we're doing here today. We are here to crush. I did not say only speak against. I said crush this element of fear that is associated with Islam. That we are no longer going to be afraid to stand up. We are no longer going to be afraid to walk the streets. We are no longer going to be afraid to be Americans in America. But what was the topic? The topic was hate speech, right? Hate speech. So if what we're saying is not hate speech, if what we're saying is no way fall into the category of hate speech, then what does? I hold it right here. This book right here. Islam, the Quran, and Sharia should be held accountable for hate speech crimes and hate crimes in America. It should. The teachings here in the Quran push and motivate people to acts of violence. It's not my opinion. It's not my opinion. It's what I what I read right here in the Quran. It's right here. It's what you read in the Quran. It's what you're told to recite daily. It's what you pray to. It's what you trust in. It's what you believe in. And it calls you to commit acts of violence. Why isn't Islam is the only main religion known to have a radical element? Why is that? You do not, matter of fact, it's even comical to even think of what? Radical Christianity. I mean, it almost makes you laugh. Nobody says that. Nobody does that. It does not exist. But everybody worldwide knows about radical Islam. Why is that? You don't hear about radical Buddhist. You don't hear about, think about it. Use the little bit of brains that God gave you and think about it. Islam has the only radical element in religion today worldwide. There is nothing that compares to Islam when it comes to violence. Nothing. So I tell you right now, it should be brought before the U.S. courts. Every mosque should be held accountable. If any of its believers from that mosque commit acts of violence connected with the Quran, connected because they are carrying out their belief in the name of Allah, that mosque should be held accountable to U.S. laws for hate crimes. Where does it say in the Quran? Oh, I know. You're going to say, no, it don't say that. Oh, Pastor Wayne, you got the wrong interpretation. You got a bad translation. No, I don't think so. If so, there are millions or billions of people out there that they all have a bad translation. What does it say? Fight those who do not believe until they all surrender, paying a protective tax in submission. Surah 929. Does the Quran not say that? Does it not say that? Does it say that? Yes or no? Does it say that? Yeah, thank you. It says that. It calls for you to fight. It calls for those that truly follow, believe in the Quran, in Islam, to fight all those that do not believe in Islam. It calls you to fight all those non-believers. It calls you to fight against Christians, against Jews, against atheists, against anyone that is non-Muslim. You fight against them. That is a hate speech, and that it acts following that teaching is a hate crime. The Quran is guilty of hate speech and a hate crime. Believers fight in Allah's cause. They slay and are slain, kill and are killed. Surah 9:112. Hate speech. Fight them until all opposition ends and all submit to Allah. Hate speech. Quran 4:91. If the unbelievers do not offer you peace, if they do not leave you alone, if they do not keep their mouth shut, if they do not leave you in peace, kill them wherever you find them. Against such you are given clear warrant. According to this awful book, it says that it allows you, it gives you permission. Under its law, it says you are allowed to kill them wherever you find them. It allows you to do so, and you're a good Muslim. Hate speech, calling for acts of violence, it should be prosecuted. It should be brought before national courts. It should be brought before international courts. Hate speech and hate crimes. 9/11 was a hate crime. Acts around the world committed in the name of Allah, hate crime. You know, in acts of war and times of war, lots of things happen. When we look back in our history, World War I, World War II, places that suffered mass destruction due to the hand of allies or casualties of war. America and other countries, they're still paying to rebuild. They're still investing in areas that they know they had a responsibility in that type of destruction. Where has Islam, as a religion, as a people, where have they invested? Where have they cried out for forgiveness to the families of 9/11? Where have they given the millions or billions of dollars for rebuilding the World Trade Center? It hasn't happened. It hasn't happened. Where do you see imams? Oh, worldwide, we had imams condemning us, condemning our action when we burned the Quran. Matter of fact, the one we burned, it looked just like this one. And when we burned it, people like you, people like your imam here, people all around the world, they're quick to condemn us. They condemn what we did. They condemned us. Where do you condemn Hamas? Where do you condemn Hezbollah? Where do you do that? We got plenty of cameras. Let's go ahead and let's start out the condemnation now. Why don't you go on record? Everybody's quick to go on record. Imams all over the state of Florida, they were quick to go on record to condemn our action. Oh, that violent action of setting a bunch of paper on fire. Whoa. But how about condemning real acts of violence? Where have they condemned Hezbollah? Where have they condemned Hamas? Where have they condemned Al-Qaeda? It don't happen. You don't see it. Why? Because they're not going to. You're not going to condemn it. Matter of fact, what did we hear? We hear throughout the UK, there was a survey done where they asked the Muslims. A survey was done and asked, do you sympathize with the terrorist actions around the world? 24% said yes. 24% says we sympathize with the terrorists. We sympathize with the ones that flew the planes into the World Trade Center. We sympathize with them and their belief. We sympathize. That is a bunch of garbage. You don't sympathize here. You can do any poll you want to. You ask somebody, do you sympathize with somebody like Timothy McVeigh? They killed people for whatever he wanted to tag on it, whether it was his belief or for what. You're not going to find any Christian that says, I sympathize with that. We do not sympathize with murderers. We do not say, well, they must have had a just cause. We do not sympathize with that. We do not sympathize with acts of terror. We do not. 24% of the Islamic population, basically a quarter of the population, said yes, we sympathize. The last time we were here, they were waving shoes, throwing bottles, broke through the barricade. For what? You were not here to disagree with what we said. You're not here to disagree. You're here to silence. You do not want to voice your opinion. You do not want to say, I don't agree. You want to silence. It's not going to happen. You want to silence those who speak differently than you? Go back to a Muslim-dominated country. They do that there. We don't do it here. Hate speech, hate crimes. The Quran, I'm calling for it now. That we get a movement. We start a petition to bring the Quran, the teachings of Islam before the national court, before world courts, to have it brought, have mosques around America start paying for the acts of violence that are carried out in the name of Islam. Because no matter what you say, no matter what you say, it's what you do that matters. You can say we're not radical, we're not radical, we're not radical. But it's not what you say. It's what you do. We saw last week, here Mayor O'Reilly said it over and over again. There is no radical element of Islam here in Dearborn. But it only took a few words. It only took a few emotions to get going. Then you pushed through the barricades. You broke laws. You endangered the people driving by. You threw bottles. You threw shoes. You stormed the police. See, it doesn't take long for the moderate to become a radical. Why? Because you read the same Quran. It's the same lies. It's the same deception. It's calling for the same acts of violence. There is no different. A lie is a lie is a lie, and you have believed a lie. But why are we even here talking about this today? Why are we even here wasting our time talking to a bunch of youth like this? Talking to a bunch of people that's not going to listen. And we only have a few brave people that have actually showed up. Everybody else has an excuse. Isn't that the way America has become? The home of the free and the land of the brave. That's disappeared. We become the home of the excuse. So why are we even here today? Because the church and pastors, they have not done their job. They have not. Over the last 30 to 40 years, Christians, pastors, they have lived by excuse, and they have not done their job. They have lived in apathy, and they've lived in fear from their own followers. Well, what if I say something? What if I do something? What if I speak out? They may not show up on Sunday to put that tithe and offering in the plate. You want to know? See, let me tell you something. And I honestly mean this. Listen, I have more respect. Listen, I have more respect for you. I got more respect for you. I have more respect for you than I do most Christians and pastors. Why? Because at least you're brave enough to show up for what you believe in. Where are the pastors today? Where are the Christians? Where are the believers that say what they believe? But when it comes time to take a stand for what they believe, they're nowhere to be found. Where are they? Where are they? They're hiding behind their excuse. Well, the government, they may come after my tax-exempt status. Well, what are you going to tell God? What are you going to tell God? You're going to tell God, well, God, is that a good enough excuse? God's not going to listen to that as an excuse. What are you going to tell God when He says, what about these people here that were following the wrong direction? Well, I was scared to tell them that might offend them, God. It might make them mad, God. Well, you know what? God ain't interested in your excuse. I blame so-called Christians. I blame so-called pastors for where we have come with the threat of Sharia in America. I blame pastors. I blame Christians for the threat of radical Islam in America. This is the fault of the church, not the government. Everybody wants to blame Obama. It's not Obama's fault. Obama's the same man he was when he got elected. It's our fault for even letting him get into office. It's our fault. It's the church's fault. It's the pastor's fault. That's whose fault it is, for not speaking up. You know what the Bible says about that? The Bible says in Matthew 18:6. Matthew 18:6 says, if anyone causes one of these little ones, those who believe in me, they say they believe in Allah. In other words, they want to believe in God. They say if you cause any of the ones that truly want to be saved, they want to follow the path, they want to see salvation, if you cause one of these to stumble, it would be better for them to have a large millstone hung around their neck and be drowned in the depths of the sea. I think a lot of pastors are going to find themselves in this situation because they're causing a lot of people to fall. They're causing a lot of people to stumble in their Christianity. They're causing a lot of people to just be quiet. If you don't be quiet, you're going to rock the boat. If you don't be quiet, you're going to upset the powers that be. If you don't be quiet, people are going to get upset. If you don't be quiet, they might start throwing shoes. If you don't be quiet, something might happen. I say if you don't be quiet, something might happen. It says, woe to the world because of the things that cause people to stumble. God says, woe to the world. That is you, that is pastors, that is Christians, that is everybody that takes the message. That is the media that takes the message and twist it and manipulate it to control the people. It says, woe, woe to the world, because of the things that cause people to stumble. Such things must come, but woe to the person through whom they come. We're talking about the pastors. We're talking about the cowardly church that is in America today. We need to stand up and preach the truth, and that is not the truth. That is a lie. That is a lie, and the only way we show the love of God is not to pat you on the head and say everything is going to be okay. That is not love. Love is showing you the way. Love is telling you the truth. Love is doing our utmost to make sure you know the truth and you have the opportunity to accept the truth. So I call for every pastor, every Christian, every church leader, every evangelist, come out of hiding. Come out of your little protective cage. All you Republicans. Yeah, we were there last night. And we were asked to come and meet some Republicans at a dinner, at a hotel. What was it? The Lincoln dinner. The Lincoln dinner. And what was done immediately, we shook a few hands. We were told thank you very many times. They took pictures. The people were there. They were thankful. They thanked Dr. Jones over and over again for standing up, for having the courage to speak the truth. But what happened? Jealousy kicked in. And they were afraid to have him there. So we were asked to leave. So we did. So I'm calling you Republicans. You're being controlled. You're being told what you can and you can't see. You're being told what you should and you should not listen to. You're being told what to vote. I got news for you. When you get to God and you say, well, this is what I was told to do, that won't cut it. We need to come out of hiding. We need to come out of our excuses. But we need to come out and take a stand and be seen and be heard and let our voice speak the truth.
Where are the Tea Party people?
And last but not least, I thank you for that warm reception, but last but not least, here we have supposed to be the radical, conservative Republicans, the Tea Parties. Where's the Tea Party at? Anybody here with the Tea Party? We got a few. This place should be overrun with the people that want to see biblical principles established back in government, freedom established back in government, back in our local laws. That's what we want to see. But you ain't going to see it sitting at home watching it on CBS. You're not going to see it sitting at home in front of your TV watching the news saying, oh, that's right, oh, that's right. Agreement will not change anything. Coming out and making things happen is what is going to bring the change. Thank you.